Hello, I'm the Builder Boy and welcome to the first episode of the first series of Builders Brawlers. We have 7 other LEGO machines ready to snatch that golden brick away from Minor Threat, the Pilot Series champion. We have a standard double elimination bracket, so let's not waste any time and see the first round matchups. We have Zephyr versus He, Comedic Gentleman versus Cheezer, our Pilot Series champion Minor Threat taking on Bayani, but first, it's Henry versus W.A.R. Interestingly, the number 1 seed isn't Minor Threat, but Henry, the lightest robot in the competition and equipped with a ramming wedge. It's the 1 seed because it has more wins than Minor Threat, and that pilot tournament was over a year ago. And their opponent, the only complete rookie in this tournament, is W.A.R, aka Wacky Ahh Robot. It originally comes from a Hexbug builder by Yttrium Productions. Hopefully those big wheels and swinging hammer can cause damage to the flat top of Henry. That's enough talking from me, let's send it down to the arena and Wolfie for the commentary. Fights will last 2 minutes. In this no-frills arena, you can destroy, immobilize, or toss them out of the arena. If the fight goes the full 3 minutes, the judges will decide through 3 categories: control, aggression, and overall effectiveness.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Well, here we go with the first fight to Builders Brawlers, and already we have some damage. I think that's off of W.A.R, it's kind of hard to tell. W.A.R now stuck in the corner, gets out of it. Henry with another good shove, and now W.A.R is piggybacking on Henry. I don't know if that's a super ineffective strategy. Oh, and there goes Henry's eyes. Well, Henry is now driving blind. That might be in W.A.R's favor, as W.A.R still has all 4 of its eyes and Henry has none. But currently Henry shoving W.A.R into that corner, and now W.A.R kind of failing to engage, now driving, trying to drive out of the corner. Henry seems perplexed by W.A.R just kind of sitting around and doing nothing. Now Henry has stopped. Okay, that's the wall, Henry. There you go. Alright, another good shove onto W.A.R. The number 1 seed so far has been in control of this fight, and W.A.R really hasn't done a whole lot. I mean, it's broken off the eyes of Henry, but those are just cosmetic. Other than that, I don't think there has really been any other significant damage to Henry, although now that was a decent charge from W.A.R. Can Henry maybe get another good pin onto W.A.R? It seems like W.A.R is just trying to jam up Henry and keep them from doing anything. Oh, there's a decent shove. Now W.A.R kind of hooked on the wall and gets off. And now Henry backs up for another ram. Oh, not quite. Going back, W.A.R tries to engage but misses. And this has been a close fight, but neither robot has really pressed their advantage. Henry's gotten some good pins. W.A.R kind of really has just been sitting around, but this has been a decently close fight, I would say. Maybe with Henry on top, but this fight's going to go the distance, so we'll have to see what the judges think. Well, a solid start to our first episode of this series. Henry started off by getting some very good pins on W.A.R. It ended up pushing W.A.R into the corner multiple times, and W.A.R never really seemed to get a whole lot of damage or really any kind of control. It seemed like it was kind of half functional for most of the fight. So if this was up to me, I think Henry just takes the win.
The judges at Arena side have turned in a unanimous decision in favor of Henry. Meanwhile, W.A.R is dropped down into the losers bracket, so they're not out yet. They just need to make sure they don't lose again. The first robot for the second fight of the episode is Zephyr, the number 4 seed. While its shell spinner can do a lot of damage when it gets up to speed, the problem is its overall reliability. So let's see which Zephyr we're going to get here in this match. And their opponent is the angled spinner of He. This robot was originally a Hexbug made by Shiken. Kind of the same story as W.A.R from the last fight. Anyways, while this weapon may not be near as heavy as Zephyr's, it does have a faster spin up, so let's see who will take the win in the Battle of the Spinners.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Well, who doesn't love a good fight between two big spinners, and currently only one of them is spinning. He now getting up to speed, but it has let Zephyr get up to speed. Is that going to be a problem for he? Zephyr is one of the most dangerous robots when it's up to speed, and what a massive hit! He has already lost its weapon, and now Zephyr has to get up to speed again. He seems to just be, well, trying to look for any sort of plan B, and now it seems to just be going for the good old shove your face into their face strategy, and Zephyr not really finding any room to get up to speed again. But that was a very, very big hit. I don't think he expected to immediately lose their spinner after the first hit, but that's what they get for letting Zephyr get up to speed. And Zephyr still trying to get up to speed. Now gets a bit of breathing room. Maybe gonna get a hit here. Both robots seem a little dazed and confused after that hit. There's a decent hit, but Zephyr's shell actually looks somewhat loose. In fact, it actually looks like it's dragging on the ground now. I think that first hit may have actually knocked both robots' weapons loose. Zephyr's just showed a little bit more durability and longevity. But yeah, now there you can definitely see that shell is not attached. And so now it's just going to be a shoving match. Oh, Zephyr, never mind. Zephyr is trying to take the melty brain approach. I don't know how effective that's going to be against he, but so far he has managed to shove Zephyr around a decent amount. But both robots seem to be struggling just for that little bit more control over the other, trying their best to press their advantage, and he gets a shove, Zephyr gets a shove, and now they separate again. Zephyr once again trying to do the spin to win technique.
Cease.
And cease is called. That was a very, very good fight. Well, what a fight between the 4th and the 5th seed. This fight started out with he being decapitated by Zephyr. Zephyr did get a few other good hits in, but after that, it seems like he was able to just push Zephyr around the arena after knocking the shell of Zephyr loose, and Zephyr kind of just seemed to be held down by its shell, so it ended up becoming more of a handicap than anything, and it's going to be an interesting one to call. Zephyr caused more initial damage, but I think he may have won the other two categories.
The judges at Arena side have turned in a split decision in favor of he. A minor upset as Zephyr gets bumped down to the losers bracket where it will face W.A.R. Fight number 3 sees the number 3 seed come into play, Comedic Gentleman armed with a lifter. Interesting fact is that this Lego bot came before the Antweight version that you may or may not have seen on my channel. I love shameless self-promotion. And their opponent is the Tomb clone Cheezer, hoping to use that horizontal bar spinner to hopefully clip the sides of the wedge or get to the vulnerable rear of Comedic Gentleman. They like to do this thing where they sit and spin called a Thagomizer attack. Let's see how that strategy will play out.
3, 2, 1, activate.
And now we have the 3rd and the 6th seed facing off, and Cheezer getting up to speed, and there's a decent shot to the front wedge of Comedic Gentleman. Comedic Gentleman could have gotten a lift there, and oh, a near miss there for that lift. And Cheezer now trying to get past Comedic Gentleman. Unfortunately, you cannot drive through with Comedic Gentleman, although Comedic Gentleman not really being very aggressive. It's just kind of sitting around and lets Cheezer get back up to speed. And that's another decent shot to the front wedge of Comedic Gentleman, although Comedic Gentleman has a very, very durable front end, so it's going to take a lot of hits to get through that. But again, Comedic Gentleman just not really pressing its advantage of being a very, very heavy robot, and also being very, very resilient. And there's a decent lift. It drags Cheezer a little bit by the collar of its shirt. But Comedic Gentleman again missing another lift, and Cheezer now looking to try and get back up to speed. Oh, but Comedic Gentleman gets to the back of Cheezer, goes for a good lift, and almost flips them. Can't quite do it. And it looks like they're actually stuck now.
Cease.
And we're gonna have to unstick them.
Activate.
Well, now that both robots are no longer gorilla glued together, oh, and there's a massive shot from Cheezer on the front lifter of Comedic Gentleman. Comedic Gentleman now looking for a pin. That's really all they can do, it seems. I mean, their lifter can potentially flip Cheezer over. It tries to there, but not quite able to. Of course, Cheezer is invertible if it gets flipped. And now Comedic Gentleman looking to get some space, get some air. Cheezer, of course, is going to get back up to speed if that happens. So Comedic Gentleman might want to think about going on the attack here in the final third of this fight, I would say. And now, oh, there's a decent lift. And cease is called. Well, that was definitely a tough fight. Comedic Gentleman, not as aggressive as I think it could have been, but we're going to have to see what the judges think. It was a very good fight. Cheezer started off getting some very good damage on Comedic Gentleman, but Comedic Gentleman did get some very good lifts in, like this one. A very good highlight, and almost flipped Cheezer over at least twice, but Comedic Gentleman definitely took more visible damage than Cheezer did, but it was definitely a decent fight. Both robots had some good back and forth moments, so it's going to be a tough decision.
The judges at Arena side have turned in a unanimous decision in favor of Comedic Gentleman. Cheezer gets bumped down to the loser's bracket, will face the loser of our next fight. And our Pilot Series champion makes its introduction into the series, Minor Threat, with its swinging hammer and reprofiled front end in order to take on any spinner in the competition. So the team says. Speaking of, we have Bayani with the vertical spinner. It has been completely rebuilt since the last time we saw it in the arena, with all new drive, all new weapon, and all new ground game. Let's see how it'll fare in the arena against our reigning champion.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
And for our final fight, we have the completely rebuilt Bayani versus your reigning pilot champion. And actually, some damage off of Bayani already, losing one of the forks, or at least part of it. And Minor Threat getting some good shots to the back of Bayani. And Bayani getting back up to speed and looking to maybe do some damage, although that spinner, it is relatively small. And now Minor Threat getting some pretty good hits again. And had an opportunity there, but Bayani backed out pretty quick. And now Minor Threat looking to try and get around to the side, but no, Bayani actually beats them to it and gets to the side, but again, just not able to get purchased with that spinner. It seems like Bayani's spinner might just be a little bit too small to actually cause any significant damage to Minor Threat, although Minor Threat is a very resilient robot. And Bayani actually gets to the back and starts chipping away Minor Threat's hammer. Minor Threat looking to try and get out of there. Pinned against the wall, and now Bayani lets them go. And Minor Threat now looking to go back on the attack, looking to go to the side of Bayani, and Bayani lets them to the back again. Minor Threat really seems to love attacking the back of its opponents and getting a little chunk off of there, off of Bayani there. And now Bayani still looking to get maybe some kind of damage with that spinner. So far, we haven't really seen it do a whole lot to Minor Threat. Maybe it's, maybe, I don't know. I mean, Minor Threat is the second seed for a reason. And, Bayani, again, it is completely rebuilt for this, so it might have some growing pains, but we'll just have to see how it does. And what a hit! Minor Threat's wedge completely ripped off. Well, there goes my argument saying no damage from Bayani. What a hit for the right before the ring of the bell. Well, what a turn of events at the last second. This fight was all Minor Threat until the very end. You can see Minor Threat gets some very, very good hammer shots, took off some small chunks of Bayani, and Bayani really couldn't seem to get any purchase with that spinner. Of course, it did get to the back of Minor Threat and pinned them against the wall at one point, which was pretty nice, but then there was the hit that changed it all. It ripped off Minor Threat's wedge, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays with the judges. Is it too little too late? Well, I guess we'll have to see.
The judges at Arena Side have turned in a unanimous decision in favor of Minor Threat. The reigning champion will move on. Bayani will move down into the losers bracket where it will face Cheezer. And episode 1 of Builders Brawlers Series 1 comes to an end. Tune in next week where we'll see the winners bracket continue and the start of the losers bracket. I've been that Builder Boy, and I'll see you in the next one.